few of you that don't know me, I'm Cathy Pederson, and I am the founder of Standing Up to POTS, which I started after my oldest daughter developed POTS when she turned 10. And so if you were at the banquet last night, she won a couple of awards. So the little Chinese daughter is just fantastic. So anyway, they asked me to speak on family dynamics. I am not an expert in this. I want to say that. So I volunteered to speak on a different topic, and this is what they asked me to do. So I'm happy to do that, but I'm really looking for conversation more than me coming in as an expert talking about family dynamics. So this is Kate, my youngest, who's taking the pictures. I appreciate that. Yeah. So there are a lot of challenges. I don't think I need to tell you. I think, come on in. No, your timing is perfect.
Oh, you know what? I think I'm gonna.
Do you want the medical one? It's the next one over. Yeah. I don't think I need to tell you that there are so many issues that families face when they are dealing with chronic illness. Whether you're the one that's ill yourself or it's a loved one who's ill, there is just so much to be done. I know we've struggled to find good quality medical care. Have you guys had problems with that as well? And part of the problem is that POTS is what my daughter's primary diagnosis is, but for so many of these, there's not a blood test or a urine test or an MRI scan that says, yes, you've got this. And that's what doctors are looking for. And so we don't know how to treat it, and the best we can do is symptom management a lot of times. There are also financial pressures. So if you're the parent or the spouse of someone who's chronically ill, there's dealing with insurance and so many other things that really go into the family life. And then a big one, I think, even within the family sometimes, especially the extended family, is understanding the stigma that goes along with it. And so, maybe you miss Christmas, or you're not up to some sort of event that the family wants you there. It can be really difficult. And people think that you can just turn it off, right? And that it's all in your head. And we see this in the medical realm too, unfortunately, right? Have any of you had this happen where they said, oh, symptoms are all on your bed? Right, it's crazy. And should we have to do that? I mean, that's crazy. But it's a big problem. For the person who is chronically ill, I think there are other sets of problems, right? So grieving the loss of a healthy body. In the case of my daughter, she was 10 when she got sick. And she was an Energizer bunny. I mean, this was a kid that was all over the place. She had so many interests and things that she wanted to do. And they thought she caught mono, and she never got well. It's been 7 years. And so, all of those hopes and dreams, or maybe not all of them, but some of them need to be modified. They need to change a little bit as we go through. And so finding that new rule, whether it's in school or work, relationships, sometimes people deal with the loss of hope, and that can be problematic as well. And then there are physical barriers. I see your assistive device here this morning, and my daughter's in a wheelchair this weekend, and there are so many things that change. So decreased mobility, confusion and poor memory, brain fog, right, we talk about in this community, can be absolutely horrible and lead to a poor quality of life. Another thing that I think is really common in our community that you might not see in other communities where there's heart problems or cancer or other better understood issues is feeling like a burden, right? If people think it's all in your head, or that you maybe can turn off the symptoms just for today. Can you turn them off just for today? And so in some families, we've been really lucky with this, but I know in many families, they feel like the family pulls away from them a little bit as they're not well. So that withdrawal of love and support, maybe feeling judged sometimes, it's difficult, right? It's difficult whether you're the family member or you're the one that's involved. And so when we think about family reactions, there are lots of reactions that are perfectly normal. And I think a lot of families go through an evolution over time, right? Where it's sort of an emergency right now. I know for my daughter, and I don't know how your illness has progressed, but the first year was really scary. I mean, she kept adding symptoms like crazy, and I thought I was going to lose her. I really did. And I don't say that out loud very many times, but I was really scared for my 10 or 11-year-old daughter. And so it's normal to ask, why is this happening? What have I done or not done as the parent? What did we do as a family to deserve this? Or what did my child do? Or, but we know that bad things happen to good people, right? There's nothing that we did or didn't do. It's just bad luck sometimes. And so I want to say that it's okay to feel lots of different ways. It's okay to be angry sometimes. And I know in our case, my younger daughter is here, and she's healthy. She's a varsity athlete. And my older daughter is up in the room, can't move, basically today, right? Trying to save up so that we can fly home this afternoon. And so there's anger sometimes. Why can't we do this, or why can't we do that? Again, this idea of confusion and exhaustion, which is going on in a lot of hotel rooms here, I think, as the conference is progressing. Sadness, frustration, and hurt. These are all normal. And it takes time to work through these, and don't be upset with yourself if they come up, right? Different situations can bring them up, and that's okay. What?
You never fully look through.
I think that's right. I think that's right.
Days that it's just bam.
And events come up that bring them up again, right? Something happens, and it's maybe an innocuous comment to most people, and it really cuts you to your core, right? And it's really difficult, and I think that's right. I think that counseling can be a wonderful thing, not because a lot of people are depressed, to be frank about this, right? But because there's so many other things that happen in chronic illness. The grieving of the lost body, the loss of friendships, so many other things that can happen, right? My daughter Kate actually drew this picture. Looking at the picture, would that be my healthy child or my non-healthy child, my chronically ill child? Yeah, maybe I shouldn't tell you which one drew the picture, but it fits this family dynamic perfectly, doesn't it? Because I think everyone in the family feels like that sometimes. I have to say that I think there are a lot of different impacts of chronic illness on relationships, and in some cases I think it draws families together, or at least individuals within that family are drawn closer together. I think trips, to the doctor, I spend a lot of one-on-one time with that child, and we talk about a lot of different things that maybe we wouldn't if she was well. But it can also cause alienation in other relationships, even within the primary family. And again, it can cycle with time, depending on what's going on. But it can be very, very difficult. If you've got a child who's ill, then sometimes the spouses are not on the same page, the parents aren't on the same page. And so it seems like in the groups, a lot of times the women are very compassionate. I'm using broad strokes here, right? And that the fathers are like, sometimes you just have to buck up. And that if we baby them, then they're not going to get better. And so that can be really difficult on relationships. In my case, it turns out I adopted my girls as a single mother, a single woman, and so for me it's more about balancing the siblings and not having a partner where I can send one with one child and then I can be with the other child. And so that's the struggle for me. I'd like to take some time. I didn't know how many people we'd have in the room. I think we're small enough that we can talk about this as a group, but I'd love to hear your personal experiences with chronic illness and relationship, and see if we can heal ourselves a little bit here, at least validate our feelings about these relationships. Does anyone want to share? Sure.
So my brother, I'm part of the Chiari and Cervomyelia Foundation, and my older brother actually has Chiari and Cervomyelia. And he was diagnosed very young, and he had surgeries when I was born. So growing up, I didn't really see the effects of it so much because he was just my brother, you know. He had a good outcome, so he was able to participate in school, in sports, and I didn't see any of the effects of that so much. But my mom always tells a story of, I have two older brothers, so he was the middle, and the oldest one, because my older brother was sick, the oldest brother wasn't getting as much attention, and obviously, from our firstborn, they're always jealous when one baby comes back, but then when all of the attention was put on him, my oldest brother actually bit my younger brother. And, you know, my mom flipped out at him. But I thought that was a funny story, just that kind of puts in the family dynamic of there are always things you have to think of, and they probably weren't thinking so much, like, we have to pay enough attention to both. So
Right.
it's just the freak out of what was happening. But yeah.
And maybe they were even trying. Maybe they thought they were balancing
Right.
better than your oldest brother perceived it.
Right.
And that's a struggle too.
Also true.
Yeah. Crystal, did you want to share something?
I struggle with, I was born with cerebral palsy, so there's always been that part. And the diagnosis of POTS and, well, hyperPOTS, which is even worse. I've completely lost the relationship with my biological father. He told me he thought I was making it up. We had a big fight. We haven't talked in 6 years.
Wow.
So even in that, my mom, who's been my biggest support, it's like when things are critical, she's right there. But once things aren't critical and it's the daily stuff, she doesn't want to hear about it. So I've quit talking about it to my family. But things like the last 2 Christmases, I've pretty much had to lay in the chair, and they've been okay. And I don't know how to deal with the secular support, and then I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, does anyone have insights on that? Where it's like
I mean,
hyper
is that-
attention,
is
lots
that
of attention,
normal
and then.
within-
I think that it is, to be honest, only because we have a 5-year-old who was diagnosed a year ago with Chiari. And she looks like a normal kid other than some speech delay. And we've had no surgeries yet. We're still cycling through, does she have this, does she not have this? And I have family members that literally have turned their back on us because, oh, she looks fine, she's healthy. So I've had to come to terms with that as a fact that you don't live with us, you don't know the everyday circumstances.
Well, the thing is, I see my parents every day, so that makes it even
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, you know, you don't understand the toll it takes to be normal, to do what you want me to do. And, you know, I need an outlet too.
Yeah.
It's gotten worse because now my mom is chronically ill herself. So instead of her, sometimes she understands, but then it's juggling the two.
But
She's
maybe
like,
she doesn't
now I'm
have
dealing
anything
with her
left.
own stuff, and she doesn't have anything left. But it's always been kind of secular in chronic situations. It's all right. We're gonna do this. You know, you're in the hospital. All right, I'm not leaving. You know, but then everything gets stable, and oh, okay, do what you're supposed to do, and I don't really want to hear about it. She had to see a hypertensive crisis to understand how dramatic it was.
Yeah.
I was like, Mom, you don't understand. I can stroke if I don't get it in.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And she had to walk in and see how I looked laying on the couch to get it. Just sometimes it's
It is hard. Yeah, and I should say I'm not a counselor.
Yeah, it's
I'm a
like-
college
it's more
professor.
like, you
Okay.
know, is that normal?
I just want to
No,
say
I
that.
I say it just
Mhm.
more to say, is
No,
that
absolutely.
normal within?
I think it is. I think it is. And I'm in the middle of parenting 2 teenagers. And when one or the other seems like they're moving into crisis mode, then I move into crisis mode with that one and sort of drop off. I think that's a fair evaluation. And listening to you is helpful to me as a parent
Because
to
even
try to be
though we're
careful
better,
about that.
Even though we're not in a crisis situation, we're still walking a tightrope, and we still need, that parental, it's okay, you may look okay to everybody else, but,
Right.
Mom, I need you to be mom for a minute.
Just to validate, right?
Or
Just to
just to
validate. Yeah, just to listen
Yeah.
to what you have to say and understand. No, I get it. Absolutely. And I don't really have a good answer. I think the answer is you have to just keep trying and keep talking.
I'm sorry, I just said it more to see if it was normal or if it was just my idea.
I feel like it is
I think
normal,
it's very normal, and I
unfortunately.
see that, like, I have 3 older children, she's the youngest,
Right.
and all of our attention has gone to her for this last year, and I mean, my 19-year-old says, Mom, I need you, and it's
Yes.
like, oh, yeah, I have other children that need that attention, and it really is a struggle to take but when they're in crisis mode, you're all there.
Right.
And when you're not, it's you try to balance out everything else in life. And it is a daily struggle for us. And I have a support system. So, and we're not always on the same page, it's just a matter of trying to balance, and it's a real struggle most days.
And I have to say, I probably overcompensate with my other daughter. And so I feel like I'm actually very close to both of them separately. One,
Yes.
where I'm running to the doctor or I'm taking her separately to
On
school.
different levels.
And the other one that I'm taking to tennis or swim or whatever it is that she's involved with. But our problem is getting the 3 of us, what can we do that all 3 of us enjoy doing together, that my ill daughter can manage, right? And that's what's really difficult. And so when we have those rare occasions, I really celebrate them. I make those mental notes, and I appreciate my daughter's effort to come out and make that happen. I've got a few more things that I want to talk about here. And so this is my family. And we started standing up to POTS really after Lily got ill. And it's my way. I was so frustrated with doctors and with not being able to help my child, and we went everywhere. We did, and she's not much better. I felt like I had to do something that could help someone, right? But I think learning as much as you can about the illness, and I think that's what Crystal is talking about a little bit, right? If her parents really read up and understood that it's not just when she's in crisis, that there are other issues that are going on all of the time, that can make a huge difference. It also makes a difference just when you're going out, right? You're going to church, or you're going to school, or you're going to wherever, and people stop and ask how you are or how your family member is. Be honest and believe your loved one. I think that is critically important, and it's not easy always. And I've had some conversations with my daughters where I'm not the angel, right? That I've dropped some balls, and I know that. And what I say to them every time is, I am trying, I am doing my best. And I love you, right? So being honest, and it may not be just the chronically ill person. I think sometimes it's the parent. I think sometimes it's the sibling. I think sometimes it's other family members who need to process how this is affecting their life as well, and that we really need to try to support even the people in the support network. We forget about that sometimes. And so be honest about your own feelings, about things that are going on. And again, it's not always easy. I'm not saying it's easy. And then listening with your full attention. And I find personally that the best conversations happen in the car, where nobody can get out and leave.
I can't escape.
Yep, we still have half an
Wi-Fi
hour to go
doesn't
in the drive.
exist.
You know, and we have, with both of my children, some really good conversations about what's going on in their life on our way to and from whatever it is that we're on our way to and from. I've got some ideas for activities. I hope you have others that are going to help me with this for the whole family. I have to say that my daughter has POTS, but she also has chronic fatigue syndrome. She has Ehlers-Danlos. She has mast cell. She's a hot mess. I love her. She's wonderful. I wouldn't trade her for the world, but she's got issues, right, that make going out harder for her. And so for us, it's trying to create family time at home, where the family dinners are really important to me, and we all sit down together without our phones, and have for years, and just talk about our days. It doesn't have to be huge, right? Talk about our days or reminisce about good times in the past. Movie nights, if you're lucky enough to have one movie that the whole family will watch together, that can be difficult too. But you know, just making some popcorn or doing something that feels special, right? Where you're all together in the same room, laughing at the same time. I think there's power sometimes to that. A game night, when we play games, we often do it on the floor. My mother doesn't always appreciate that. No. But we do that so that my daughter can lay on pillows, and so she can prop herself up in a way that feels comfortable. At least her legs aren't hanging down from a chair. And so we do a lot of it on the living room carpet, just to try to make it feel as inclusive and less exhausting as we possibly can. I'm hoping you have other ideas for things that families can do as a family together to build that relationship, or to maintain that relationship, or to reconnect periodically.
We do a lot of drives. We live in the mountains, so it's easy to go up on a Blue Ridge.
Hmm.
And again, can't get out of the car. So.
Right. Yeah, and it doesn't take a lot of energy.
No. Nope, not at all.
Although I have to say, some people don't ride well. And my daughter is one of those, the mast cell thing. The vibration of the car bothers her a lot. And I think the moving, you know, just all the visual movement. But yes, and in the mountains, I can see how that would be just spectacular. What else do people do?
My mom and I, because my favorite band does a benefit concert every year, and mom wants to gamble at that casino. That is our one time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
We have like 2 or 3 days where we're not worried about work or anything else, and we can actually have that time to connect, where we don't always we're not in that mental space.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of other times, because we see each other. I help them out at their business, so
Right.
we see each other in that type of relationship. But that's the one time that we can reconnect and be like, we really do love each other.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't want to kill each other, and we really are good friends.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe short getaways.
yes,
Where it's not so much that it overwhelms you.
right, short getaways that
Mhm.
get you out of your normal stresses,
Mhm.
so that that melts away and you can connect a little bit.
I think that's a great idea. And I have to say, my family's been doing that the last couple of years. We've done a couple cruises, which are nice because you're not moving around a whole lot.
And everything is done for you. Room service
Right.
is free.
Don't have to cook any of
Right.
that stuff.
It's
Right.
awesome.
And that's worked really well for our family, so that the more able-bodied can get off and do what they want to do, but there's a room for those that can't get out.
Just make sure you get a window.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have chronic fatigue too, so I know
Mhm.
what it's like without the window.
Yeah, it's really difficult, right?
You have to turn your cell phone off and then set your alarm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she doesn't always go out on the deck, right? But she does. She looks out the window, or if there's a little patio area right there, sometimes she'll go out for half an hour.
There's still a lot of good stuff to do.
Absolutely.
I like the vacations where you don't have to move very
Mm-hmm.
much.
Yeah, and vacations where you don't have to move very much is perfect for this population, right? So it sounds like you go to a hotel and stay for a couple of days. Is that what you do?
When I go with my mom,
Mhm.
yes. So yeah, we stay in the casino, so there's not that extra walking.
Mhm.
It's more expensive, but it's easier on me and now her because she now has her own
Right.
issues.
Right.
So yeah, and we have one night I have time with my friends, and then the next night we do our dinner. And okay, where are we going to eat for dinner? And then nice restaurants.
Yeah, just that family connection time without worrying about everything else that's going on in your life, right? All the mundane things that pull us apart
Away from a
sometimes.
lot of the stressors, and if I don't feel good, I can, go lay down. There was one time she's like, "You need to get
Yeah. Yeah,
So, yeah,
absolutely.
It's,
Absolutely.
It's helpful.
Yeah, good. Well, I think that's all that I had. So, yeah, thank you for coming and listening and participating. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.